In South Africa, the 15th Brics Summit continues. President Ciril Ramaphosa announced the accession of 6 countries in January 2024 to the Brics Alliance. In Japan, authorities began dumping contaminated water from the Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean, despite numerous protests and environmental concerns. And the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has a call for the regulation of exception to the sanctions against Niger so that the humanitarian aid required by the country is not affected. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. On Thursday, South African President Ciril Ramaphosa announced the expansion of the Brics Group starting in January 2024 with the accession of 6 countries. With the entry of Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, Brics will comprise 46% of the world's population and 39% of the world's gross domestic products. Chinese President Xi Jinping describes the expansion of the alliance as historic and affirmed that it will give the mechanisms great quality.
We have consensus on the first phase of this expansion process, and other phases will follow. We have decided to invite the Argentine Republic, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to become full members of Brics. The membership will take effect from the 1st of January 2024.
In this context, President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva, on behalf of his country, joined in the welcome to the new members of the bloc.
Among the various results of today's summit, we highlight the expansion of the Brics with the inclusion of new members, as was indicated by President Ramaphosa. It is with satisfaction that Brazil welcomes Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, and Iran to the Brics.
And as world leaders participating on Thursday in the Brics Plus talks, the president of Bolivia, Luis Arce, called for solidarity and mutual cooperation among the countries of the South to solve the problem they face.
The problem in the south of the world are not going to be solved by the north. Neither the exploitation of the resources of these countries. The problems of the countries of the south have to solve them by ourselves with solidarity and mutual cooperation. Therefore, the expansion of the Brics Group is so important because it allows nations worldwide to have access to international markets.
For his part, President Nicolás Maduro sent a message from the people of Venezuela to the 50th Brics Summit, where he emphasized that his nation joins countries aspiring to join the alliance.
Venezuela joins the aspirations of countries seeking to join the Brics. We officially expressed this in a letter in 2015, and we recently reaffirmed it. We are willing to contribute to this global integrated model with the richest oil reserves, certified oil reserves. They are in our country. Furthermore, our nation possesses abundant mineral resources, accounting for over 20% of global reserves of iron, copper, and gold, as well as deposits of silver, bauxite, coltan, nickel, rhodium, titanium, among others.
The president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, also exalted the possibility that his country offers to the Brics Group as one of the largest oil producers in the world.
Out of the 23 aspirants in the potential BRICS expansion process, 7 of us are members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, which supplies a crucial portion of the global market, and collectively we hold 77% of the world's oil reserves. The inclusion of these OPEC nations in the BRICS Group would ensure control of over 83% of the proven global oil reserves, not to mention the proven reserves of non-OPEC and OPEC plus countries.
Finally, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro also proposed to revitalize the alliance between Latin American multimedia, teleSUR, and TV Brics as a way of strengthening cooperation in communication.
The consolidation of these ambitious alliances requires a high level of people's awareness about the realities, strengths, and capacities for united progress. To that end, we propose strengthening the communicational alliance by revitalizing cooperation between the BRICS and teleSUR and the Latin American Caribbean Multimedia and Multi-State Platform.
For his part, Alberto Fernandez, president of Argentina, one of the newest members of the bloc, also participated in the BRICS Plus dialogues via video link and stressed the importance of bloc's unity to build a new economic architecture worldwide that fosters development instead of inequalities.
We need solid consensus pillars to move forward towards a sustainable and reformed development architecture that leads to equal conditions in this existing world. We need to be the motors of a sustainable economy recovery with equity, inclusion and respect to sovereign equality and its core. The condition of possibility for that achievement to be reached and be sustainable over time is to secure more resources to finance development and no financial speculation, to apply immediate measures to make sure debt is sustainable and put an end to the worst practice shown today by the International Monetary Fund. We need to favor balanced commercial exchange that do not deepen existing asymmetries, as well as promote investment and a scientific and technological cooperation.
And in South Africa, the 55th BRICS Summit concludes with the admission of 6 new countries and the commitment of the group's members to multilateralism. Our special envoy, Jorge Stossel, offers more details.
Thank you. The BRICS Summit has finished here in South Africa, in Johannesburg, with the commitment of the group to expand the number of nations, and we're talking now there are 6 new nations that are going to start to belong to the group starting on January 1st, 2024, and we're talking Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Emirates Arab United, in the case of also Iran, we're talking Egypt, we're talking Ethiopia, 6 new nations that are pushing then the new figures, impressive figures of this group, because they're going to represent 46% of the total world population and 36% of the PIB, the GPM of this planet, and also the commitment to multilateralism through the development of new banking and financing engineering, looking for new routes in terms of how to relate financially, economically, and in trade among these 11 nations. For example, through a banking process that could use more and more their own currencies, and even the creation of a possible common currency, and leaving aside the dollar that could receive an important hit because, for example, these nations that represent huge oil producers could be trading among themselves with their local currencies and not throughout the dollar. So in that sense, multilateralism has grown and unilateralism has weakened after that summit, that are going to see how many other countries will be joining the group. There's a long list of countries more and more interested to join this group that is seen almost like the group of the future. We get back to you now.
And in the context of the 55th Brics Summit, the Russian expert Andrei Spartak, head of the Council for Foreign Economic Activity of the Russian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in the interview for TV Brics, highlighted the potential of the BRIC groups to reform the existing world economic order.
Shortly before this summit, it was said that 23 countries had already formulated their desire to participate in BRICS in one form or another. And among these 23 countries, I have noticed that 5 countries, at least according to expert forecasts, will be among the largest 20 economies in the world by 2050. That is, BRICS has the potential to become an organization that has a decisive influence on global development, and not only in terms of economic potential, but also in terms of the initiative that BRICS is putting forward. My expert opinion is that the BRICS countries have already matured to formulate a global agenda for reforming the existing world economic order.
Let's take a very short first break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back from the South. The plenary of the Brazilian Chamber of Deputies approved on Thursday the provisional project to fix the increase of the minimum wage retroactive from last May. With a total of 439 votes in favor and 1 against, the bill will be sent to the Senate for approval and will then have to be promulgated by President Lula da Silva. The proposal approved by the Chamber establishes that people who earn up to 2 minimum wages do not need to present an income tax return. In the United States, Donald Trump's former lawyer and also former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, turns himself into the Georgia authorities and denounced the process of force against him. Giuliani, who was Donald Trump's personal attorney during his presidency, was booked into the Fulton County Jail in Atlanta, charged with attempting to alter the outcome of the 2020 elections in this southern state. Minutes later, he was released on the 150,000 US dollars bills. As part of this process, Donald Trump and 18 other co-defendants will face charges of racketeering and conspiracy this Thursday. In the Dominican Republic, a storm Franklin left at least 1 person dead and other missing. The civil defense reported that the victim was identified as Carlos Marino Martinez, who lost his life in the city of San Cristobal when he was swept away by the floods. Although the storm began to move away from the Dominican territory, authorities have asked the population to remain in their homes or in shelters. The strong floods also affected more than 300 people, and a 54-year-old citizen is missing. On Wednesday, Greek firefighters struggled to contain uncontrolled fires throughout the country for a 5th day. Several of them burning with crisp smoke anthems. In the last 2 days, 19 people believed to be migrants, including 2 children, have been killed in forest fires. A fire fanned by the strong winds ripped through the foothills of Mountain Maritha, the largest forest adjoining the capital, burning near the outskirts of the National Park and threatening a casino in the area. In Japan, despite numerous protests, authorities began dumping contaminated water from the Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean as a process that will continue for decades with approval of the International Atomic Energy Agency. More than 1 million tons of purified radioactive water from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant is being released by Japan into the Pacific. The operation was approved 2 years ago by the Japanese government, which got the go-ahead from the United Nations Agency. The plant's operators, Tokyo Electric Power, started the discharge at 1 p.m. local time after activating a pump at the site. The government of China on Thursday rejected the dumping of contaminated wastewater from the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan into the Pacific Ocean. The Chinese Foreign Ministry urged the Japanese government to halt the move while stating that the disposal of nuclear contaminated water is a nuclear safety issue. In response to the situation, the Chinese authorities announced the suspension of imports of all aquatic products for Japan to avoid risk due to the discharge of contaminated water into the Pacific Ocean. According to the General Administration of Customs, the measures including the suspension of edible marine animals from entering the country. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and active the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. One financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has called for the regulation of exceptions to sanctions against Niger so that the humanitarian aid required by the country is not affected. The organization has denounced that import quantities of urgent medical supplies, nutrition, food, equipment, and food reserves are paralyzed in neighboring countries due to the border closures, in addition to other contingencies generated as a result of the decision of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the African Union in response to the seizure of power by the so-called National Council for the Safeguarding of the Homeland since July the 26th. On Wednesday, for the fourth straight day, the Sudanese paramilitaries fought the regular army in Khartoum for control of a key armor corps base in the capital south. According to the local authorities, fighters from Mohammed Hamdallah's Rapid Support Forces began their assault on the vast strategic compound on several fronts on Sunday. Residents of Al-Shahara, the neighborhood where the base is stated, reports the largest losses of both sides on the first day on the attack when the fight was contended. Also in Sudan, the non-governmental organization Save the Children informed that about 500 children have died from hunger in Sudan since the fighting erupted. According to the organization, at least 31,000 children lack access to treatment for malnutrition and related illnesses since the charity was forced to close 57 of its nutrition centers in the country. Zimbabwe's electoral authorities have extended the deadline for voting in some areas affected by logistical problems until Thursday. President Emerson Mnangagwa issued an order in a bid to give citizens more time to exercise the right to vote because polling material arrived late, and as a result, polling stations did not open at the scheduled time. The president assured that the extension will not affect the general schedule of data collection, so that the order remains in place for the results of the elections to be released within 5 days. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook and Twitter and on Instagram as well. For teleSUR English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.